Yo everyone, welcome back to the channel and welcome to another reaction. Actually a few ones now. I'm gonna post a few videos right now. The showcase happened. I did not watch it. I didn't have time. It happened during when I was working, so I am excited. I kept away from all the surprises, so I'm going in this fresh. So let's get going with the first one. This one is, a big surprise. I did not know this was happening. There's no hints, nothing. So they kept this a secret. It's Final Fantasy 14. Woohoo! Let's get this going. Emulating the what? Oh, so I guess like the same settings that a PS5 would have.
You all know the target. Shiva's dominant. And only the dominant.
How do we even know the girl will be among us?
Our kind do not question orders, we follow them.
Sergeant, let's summon their icon.
Icon? That thing's a bloody mountain!
Our foe will not relinquish their mother crystal easily. This will be a bitter fight.
You should not be out of doors. We have discussed this. Come, Joshua. Your father will be expecting us.
I am Joshua's shield. I'm sworn to protect him.
What do you mean you refuse?
They have a lot of work to do. Graphically, it feels like
your swords to our
PS4 or something. It's not fully there yet.
What does it matter?
This is gonna be a while before
It
we
was the
see, like,
Daleks who drove back the Crusaders in the Battle of the Twin Realms.
Final Fantasy 15 looked
Without
better.
the blessing of
Just
the Mother
my
Crystal,
opinion.
we
My
cannot
opinion.
defend our realm from the spread of the Blight.
That music. Hey.
So we're Sentinel Dragoons. Imperial Vipers. Do they really
Elements
mean
from
to
Final
invade
Fantasy
us?
15. Good. Good. Whoa.
It's the Archduke's son.
Phoenix.
Stop there!
That was a nice move.
Second icon of fire. But that's impossible.
Air freight? No. Maybe. That's air freight, no?
The legacy of
Yeah, that was air freight.
has shaped our
That's
history.
Final Fantasy music, yo. She was pissed. Never seen him like that before.
Enough.
Might be game mode.
I'll kill you. If it's the last thing I do.
There we go, the title. Alright, yo, another Final Fantasy. Look, first of all, I'm gonna say, I'm always excited for a Final Fantasy game. Always, no matter what happens, no matter what the critical reaction is, I was thoroughly disappointed with Final Fantasy 13. I think out of all the ones, it's the worst. my opinion. It just never felt Final Fantasy that we know and love. Just never felt like that. And it was just too melodramatic. And I think, like, yeah, they're in the end, like, Final Fantasies, in a way, they're another soap operas. They're, this fantasy that we're going on, something like Star Wars, but it's its own world, and they have their own thing, and the characters and all. But that just went too far. But even then, Final Fantasy is something that's the game I grew up with in gaming. So I'm excited because of that. Now, the other part of this is that this doesn't feel finished at all, which means this definitely is not coming out anytime soon. Remember Final Fantasy 15, which was Versus 13 and had like all these different names before? I think it was Versus 13, then it became something else. Or was it something before? It started with Versus 13, that's the last thing I remember, and then it became Final Fantasy 15, and then it kept going and going and going and going, and like, look how long it took. It was supposed to be like a PS3 launch, not launch title, but like when PS3 came out, it was supposed to arrive around then, with Final Fantasy 13 games that came out around that time. It was around that time that it was supposed to be out. And look how long did it take to actually come out? Like, what, 7-8 years? Jeez. So this, hopefully they don't take that long, because Square Enix has this thing of like, just working on a game and working on a game and working on it and just releasing it so far ahead of the actual release date that they were originally anticipated, or that the story changes and things change and directors change. Look at what happened in Final Fantasy 13. Look at what happened with, not Final Fantasy 13, Kingdom Hearts 3. Duh. And then, I meant Final Fantasy 15, look at what happened. It was a much darker story, and even then they took elements out because of the director change and all. So, I, myself, I'm worried and excited. I'm worried that I hope that does not happen again. And I'm excited because it's Final Fantasy. But at the same time, I'm worried and excited. It's like this complex feeling. It's Final Fantasy, you should be excited, and that's it. But you got to be realistic too at the same time. And I hope they do work on the graphics. It definitely looks like at points that they get all these elements, the graphical elements for PS5, and it looked like, especially when he was fighting the Marlboro, is what they call them, Marlboros or whatever. That's where like all the sand or the mud effects and everything, and the particles. But then the character model was like, whoa, Final Fantasy 15 had like a million times better in character models. Like, so you can tell this game is like very early in development, very early. They're probably like working hard on this, obviously, but at the same time, it looks like it's gonna be a while before we see it. Hopefully not something like Final Fantasy 15, but hopefully not too soon either. So I want this, like, it's a mixed feeling where it's like, I want it, but I rather also wait. So hopefully at least in the next 3 years. I think that's enough time to, like, do things out. And let's see how the world is, too. Maybe it's like a linear story. Who knows? Is it going to be like an open world experience like Final Fantasy 15, which I loved. I loved that open feeling. I personally thought, like, that the world making in that was amazing. The story elements could have been better because they took a lot out, but even then, as an open world game and a Final Fantasy, like, they were, the last time we really had one was Final Fantasy 12. The 13 went a different route. 14 is an online game. 15, they did a really good job, going from the PS2 era to the PS5, because to the PS4. PS3 had that singular experience with the Final Fantasy 13. And I never played the second and the third, like the sequels to Final Fantasy 13. Yeah, I didn't care because I didn't even like the first one. So hopefully, yeah. Fingers crossed. What do you think? That's the question. This is a very popular franchise, and based on the critical and like the user response or the gamer response to Final Fantasy 15, we all had our say in it. So let me know in the comments what you are thinking and what you're hoping this is going to be, or if this you think is going to become something else, and do you think it's connected to something else? Because times that I actually at one point you saw me using you're moving the cursor, I thought like maybe I'm doing a wrong reaction. It felt like Final Fantasy 14, the online game. It just felt like something. I never played it, but it just felt that. I've seen stuff and I've seen cutscenes, some stuff, and it just felt very similar to that. So maybe it's connected in some way. Who knows? You all let me know what your thoughts are on this trailer. What are you hoping for? Do you actually think like this is going to be a darker story and they're actually going to embrace what they couldn't embrace in Final Fantasy 15 and actually go ahead and do this big story, or you're going to think, or you're thinking they're gonna play it safe? So yeah, let me know in the comments and let me know your thoughts on the trailer. And with that, I'll let you all go. I'm gonna do another few reactions and you'll see those up soon too. So in that while, I want to say thank you for watching and I will see you soon. Ta-ta.